Hello ladies and gentlemen, and movie lovers of all kind, and welcome back to the channel. As always, I am your host, Brett Murphy, and for today's video, I have a brand new ranking for you all, and I am going to be ranking all 10 of the 2023 Oscars Best Picture nominees. So there isn't really much sugarcoating needed for this one. The Oscar nominations are now finally out, and we have our 10 Best Picture nominees, so I'm going to rank them. Before I hop into the actual ranking itself, I just wanted to let you all know that I have an entire playlist dedicated to all of my ranking videos. There is already over 150 videos on that playlist, so if rankings are your thing, then be sure to check it out, and I guarantee you'll find something you like. And so without further ado, let's hop right into things. Number 10, The Banshees of Inisherin. Yeah, I know, a lot of people are probably going to be fairly pissed off at this one, and the funniest part is that this is in last place for me, but I actually believe that this is the movie most likely to win Best Picture at the Oscars. Look, I definitely do not hate this movie at all by any means whatsoever. For me, it was just fine. It was okay. I thought that the performances were phenomenal across the board. Colin Farrell, Brendan Gleeson, Carrie Condon, Barry Keoghan, all of them did their jobs and did them damn well. The cinematography is fantastic, and all of the scenery, the on-location shooting is just simply stunning. All of that was great. But this movie was just such a drag. It was so damn boring. Now look, I get the themes that it was going for, and some of them hit, some of them are more of a miss, but it just could have been presented in such a better way. Again, I found this one to be a bit too much of a slow burn. It was fairly draggy for me at points. There were elements that I very much so enjoyed, but the story just didn't connect with me. Number 9, Tar. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you your Best Lead Actress of the 2023 Oscars. It's gonna be pretty shocking to me if Cate Blanchett doesn't walk away with this one, because her performance in this is simply unbelievable. The rest of the movie is sort of hit or miss for me. I think it's a little too long for its own good, and it does take a while to really get going. The first half of the movie I found to be quite dull, but as we sort of got into the more controversial side of her life and the rest of her real-world story, and things started to play out on that front, and some of its themes and hidden messages start to come forward a little bit, that's where the movie hit with me a little bit more. But really what you're going to watch this one for is Cate Blanchett, and she definitely delivers. Number 8, Women Talking. I really don't know where this one is going to land among the Oscar voters at all. I've seen some actually admittedly mixed reactions on this one. Some people absolutely loved it and said it was one of the best movies of the year, and some people just didn't really get the point of it, and the movie just didn't really connect with them on very many levels. For me, I think that the performances are stellar, and I think that Sarah Polley's direction is top notch. The story is definitely a powerful one, but I do have some little gripes and nitpicks here and there, as I do with most things. And it's not that this movie isn't good, because the movie is truthfully great, just everything else beyond this point I liked better. Number 7, Triangle of Sadness. I've actually fallen a little more in the middle on this one too than I expected to, but the things that I loved about the movie, I really loved. It does start off a little slow as well, and the story in the beginning is fairly basic. But once its central themes of vanity and greed and the toxicity of power really start to kick in, that's when it had me hooked. None of the characters really stood out to me more than any of the others, but as an ensemble, they really worked some magic here. It was also quite saddening when I started the movie and I immediately remembered the passing of Charles Dean. Definitely a bright light in Hollywood gone far too soon. But as for the movie itself, the comedy worked well for me, and once a certain point in the movie hits and there's a bit of a twist, by the time we got to the ending, I was quite shocked. Number 6, Elvis. This is likely going to be a bit higher than most people were expecting it to be, and honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of Baz Luhrmann. His style is super hit or miss for me. With some movies and some stories, it really works, and others it doesn't, but I think with Elvis and the big, lavish, larger-than-life kind of style that he lived, Luhrmann's style definitely does fit this story. I do have my gripes with it, like everybody else does, and I do understand and agree with most of the common criticisms, but for me personally, Austin Butler is my pick for Best Actor. I don't know if he's going to win, but he's who I'm hoping is going to win because he delivers a career-defining performance, and I simply love Elvis and his story and his music so much. You put those two together and I can't help but simply adore this movie, and I have returned to it multiple times. Number 5, The Fabelmans. I'm gonna start by saying that a lot of the family melodrama in here is very basic, very by the numbers and run of the mill, and that's not the stuff that I loved about this movie. What I did love about this movie, and I think the main point of Spielberg making it, is to remind us all why we love movies so much, and remind so many that aspire to be in the industry why that is the dream. And that's what this movie did for me. I felt like a little kid again. It brought me back to when I was way younger and I first had that dream to talk about movies and be involved in movies, and where I just flat out fell in love with movies. That's what this movie did for me, and I think that's the reason that so many people connected with it, is because that's what this movie is about. The movie is about loving movies and loving art and loving creation and using your imagination. Number 4. Everything Everywhere All at Once. I am really pulling for this one to go big at the Oscars. This has to be one of the most creative, imaginative, out there and unique movies I have ever seen in my life. And that's what I love about it so much. The comedy works, the action works, the heart at the center of it all with this broken family works so well. It delivers on its themes, it delivers on the emotional beats. And again, this is just all sorts of weird, wacky, zany, and wonderful. I have truly never seen a movie like this, and I don't know if I ever will again. The Daniels delivered one of the best of this year and one of the most memorable movies in recent memory. Number 3, All Quiet on the Western Front. Oddly enough, I don't remember seeing any advertising for this movie whatsoever. It just sort of appeared on Netflix one day. But I am so glad I checked it out because this is one of the best war movies in years. Honestly, this is probably my favorite war movie since 2016's Hacksaw Ridge, and that is one of my favorite war movies of all time. This one is also creeping up that list. This movie is brutal and relentless, and it's unflinching in its portrayal of violence and horror that these soldiers had to experience and the conditions that they had to endure. I also love this movie because it offered up such a unique perspective that I wasn't used to seeing in war movies, because it is told from the perspective of the Germans. So to see their side of things and to see the mass manipulation of all the young men being recruited to go off to war, all of that was just so intriguing to me, and I was invested from start to finish because I found it so interesting and just so refreshing to see something new. Number 2, Avatar: The Way of Water. Every time I talk about this movie, I say the same thing, and that's because I believe it. Ever since we knew that we were getting an Avatar sequel, no matter how long we had to wait, I always said, never bet against James Cameron. Do not count this man out, especially when it comes to sequels. You're talking about the guy that gifted us T2 Judgment Day and Aliens, two of the greatest, if not the greatest, sequels of all time. And the madman, the mastermind, the genius did it again. I loved this movie. I was completely engaged and enthralled and captivated from beginning to end, and this is a long-ass movie. It is epic, it is emotional, it has some of the craziest, wildest action set pieces I have ever seen. The stakes are through the roof, and you feel every little bit of it. I loved all of the new characters, I loved the returning characters. Pandora never looked better. Cameron and his team have changed the game once again and upped the bar as to what is possible with CGI. And you can undoubtedly count me in for Avatars 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way to 50. As long as Cameron wants to keep delivering these movies, wants to keep taking us back to Pandora, and they keep coming out like this, I will be there. Number 1, Top Gun: Maverick. Now, who the hell saw this one coming? Okay, look, I'll be the first to admit this movie was on my most anticipated list for like 3 years running. I was definitely looking forward to it, and I was very excited to finally get to see this one. I did not expect this to almost be my favorite movie of the year. It came in at number 2 on my list and my favorite of the Best Picture nominees. I never expected this to be one of the greatest sequels ever made, one of the few sequels that surpass its predecessor, a movie to bring theaters back to life and generate $1.5 billion worldwide, and to just be received almost unanimously super positively. This movie does everything right in my books. It puts you into the cockpit, it puts you on the wings, it delivers some of the wildest shots I have ever seen in my life. This movie takes cameras where cameras have never been, and they probably never should be. It takes the time to acquaint us with all of these new characters and make us fall for them and feel for them. Tom Cruise is back and better than ever as Pete Maverick Mitchell. This guy is a star and he is an absolute crazy person. The man is truly insane, but he is the definition of a superstar. Everything about this movie worked. The direction, the writing, the action, the stakes, all of the emotions that are running high. This one just did everything right in my books and is not only the Best Picture nominee, one of my favorite movies of this year, but one of my favorite movies of the last few years, probably the last decade. This one somehow, after such a long wait, came in clutch and totally delivered. So that is all for today's video, folks. Be sure to let me know down in the comments if you agree or disagree with my ranking. While you're at it, don't forget to let me know how you would rank all 10 of the 2023 Oscars Best Picture nominees. If you're a movie lover whatsoever, then my channel is the place to be for you. Be it rankings like this one, top 10s versus videos, tier videos, I have it all and so much more with a backlog of over 650 plus videos already on the channel for you to enjoy. So if you enjoyed this particular video, then be sure to hit that thumbs up button. And if any of that sounds like it's right for you and you want to see more from me, then smash that subscribe button right now. While you're at it, don't forget to ring that little bell icon. That way you can be notified about all of my latest uploads. And as always, stay safe. Thank you so much for watching. And that's a wrap. Hey you, yeah you, if you made it this far, just know I appreciate you, and while you're here, consider hitting that subscribe button.